A few months ago, I was doom scrolling Twitter as usual when I had the idea, hey, what if I played Xenoblade 1, but really, really stupid? And this challenge run was born. Yeah, it was as simple as that. Sorry I don't have a much more interesting story for you, that's just how it happened. What if I beat the entire game without equipping any gems, any armor, without linking any skills, or without over-leveling any of the bosses? So, I started up my stream and turned on the game. I had no clue if this was even going to be possible when I started this, but I was certainly going to find out. A couple of rules to establish before we start. The level cap is the highest level enemy in a fight, so if 3 enemies are level 15 and 1 is level 16, my max is level 16. I also used expert mode quite a bit here. I leveled down a lot in this playthrough. Sometimes this resulted in me having arts at lower levels than usual. I decided that this was okay since the entire point of the level restriction was to make it so I couldn't make myself unkillable by giving my party an insane agility advantage. I can equip weapons. These are the only pieces of equipment that I can change out. Since we're forced to use them anyway, I decided to make the most of them. Now, before we get into the run, I just want to quickly announce that I'm going to be at MomoCon 2024 in Atlanta, Georgia this year. The event runs from Friday, May 24th to Monday, May 27th. So, if you're going and you want to say hi, keep an eye out for me. I'll be all over the place, but it wouldn't be a bad idea to check out the Magic the Gathering area. I'm probably going to try and get a few games in during this event. On Friday at 7 p.m. and Saturday at 11 a.m. in particular, there's a Xenoblade photoshoot and fan meetup scheduled at Lower Fountain B, wherever that is. A bunch of other Xenotubers are going to be there as well, if one of us isn't enough for you. Alright guys, I hope to see you there, and let's get into the video. Interestingly enough, our challenge actually doesn't start at the beginning of the game. We are unable to take off any of the equipment in Dunban's tutorial battle, so we need to wait until we gain full control of Ryan and Shulk. Okay, now our challenge starts. And for the most part, it's like a normal playthrough at the beginning. We just die a lot quicker. I blasted through the beginning of the game until making it to the end of Chapter 1. And for the first time ever, I lost to the 2 Andos. I have a feeling that had less to do with the challenge and more to do with the fact that I went into the fight underleveled and hadn't upgraded any of my arts yet. So, I did a little bit of grinding, and we beat them in the next attempt. After trading Fiora for Dunban during the Mechon invasion, we ran into a little bit of an issue. Dunban cannot remove his armor, and I can't take him out of the party. I'm technically not fulfilling the conditions of this challenge, I guess. XenoBits is a fraud. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Come on.
God,
What
I'm
the
sorry.
hell? Ooh, you stink.
Anyway, in the end, I just decided to roll with it since this doesn't really impact the run. The rest of this section gave me no trouble since Dunban is stupid strong. Fiora dies, we lose Dunban, and Shulk and Ryan are on their merry way to kill all the Mechon. And it's in this section of the game, before we get to Sharla, that posed one of the greatest challenges to me in the entire playthrough. An encounter so benign and forgettable that you probably didn't even give it a thought when clicking this video. Spiders. This battle consists of 8 enemies, easily one of the largest required encounters in the game. Under normal circumstances, this battle is extremely easy, but with no armor, Shulk and Ryan are sitting ducks. After a number of tries, I discovered a few things. Because I'm not doing the original fight out of the cutscene, the Arachno are actually up on this ledge, and that makes it a bit more annoying to manage the aggro at the beginning of the fight. I also came to the conclusion that holding onto party gauge for revives isn't worth it here, because when one of the characters goes down, the other enemies just kill the other one immediately after. So, after a couple hours worth of grinding and a number of attempts, I came up with this strategy. Remove guard shift from Ryan. It's better for him to be doing damage here rather than just sitting around and doing nothing. This battle is basically on a timer. Enter the battle with as full of a party gauge as I can. That's obvious. Max out the party gauge as quickly as possible after entering combat, then try and position both characters around all the enemies and enter a chain attack. Use Monado Buster with Shulk and War Swing with Rhine. These are both AoE arts that are able to chain into each other and increase damage. There is a small chance that the chain continues, but it's so low at this point, even though I have almost max affinity between both of them. Then, just clean up the low health enemies. Now, this sounds super simple, but in practice, a lot can go wrong. And when you do wipe, you have to build the party gauge again and walk all the way through the tunnel to get to the battle. After a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, I was finally able to beat the spiders. It's okay, it's okay, it's okay. It's okay? Okay? Oh my gosh, please, do not die. Please. No! Oh my gosh. Please! Oh my god! Oh, we did it, chat! We did it! We actually did it! Oh my gosh! And then I had to fight more spiders. But surprisingly, the AI on these ones weren't nearly as aggressive, and I think that's because this is the Monado Shield tutorial fight. I made pretty quick work of this encounter and moved on to Bionis' leg. The next required battle is the two Arden attacking Juju. I ran into it the first time not fully prepared, so I lost, but on the second go around I beat it pretty convincingly. And with that battle done, we now have access to Sharla. Now, over the years, I have given Sharla a lot of grief. I may have said that she's a boring character, the worst party member in the game, that she's useless and easily worst girl. But after using her in this playthrough, I finally came to the conclusion that I've been right all along. She's awful. But this early in the challenge, healing is of monumental importance, so I will gladly accept your help, Sharla. I do a couple side quests and head over to fight M71, and despite being pretty underleveled, I almost beat the first phase. So I level everyone as much as I'm allowed to, and defeat it pretty easily. We couldn't quite get through Zord at this point, so after a little bit of grinding to reduce the agility penalty, we survived the fight long enough. On to Colony 6. The Ether Mines are pretty boring, as I'm sure you all know, but it is a great source of EXP, so no complaints from me this time. The fight where we meet Atharon was pretty easy, and there's not much of note to mention for the rest of the area. I did grind a bit before fighting Zord, which I thought was going to be super hard in this challenge, but it turned out to be fine. The encounter on the elevator is even easier since the Monado can hurt him, and bada bing, bada boom, we are done with the Ether Mines. This gives us access to Dunban again, and thank God too. I was definitely starting to feel that lack of damage. With the addition of Dunban, we can start to really invest in topple locking the enemies moving forward. Basically, unlike the other Xenoblade games, when you topple or daze an already toppled enemy in this game, more time is just added onto the timer. Because of this, when you get to late game, and sometimes even mid game, you can spend entire battles with a monster unable to do anything but writhe in pain on the ground. We're going to be relying a lot on this moving forward. We take tons of damage without any armor, but if the enemy can't attack, that doesn't matter. We make quick work of the Mechon outside the mine and beeline to Satoral Marsh. The next encounter we have to beat is the Satoral Guardian, and unfortunately we cannot abuse Topple at all in this fight because it is immune to break, topple, and daze. It took a couple tries, but eventually we just beat its face in until it stopped moving. Now we can head up to Magna Forest through the partitioned section of Bionis Interior, and it's all pretty simple until we have to get the Ether Crystals for Melia. I knew this section was coming, and I made sure to save right before triggering it because I did not want to be stuck with only Shulk for an extended period of time with no way out. I was definitely right to be worried too, because this fight against the 3 Telethia was pretty hard. It's the same issue as the Arachno. too many enemies. Shulk and Alvis have a few things in their favor though. Alvis cannot die. He just can't. He has an unequipable, unbeatable 6 gem. This gem has a 100% activation rate, meaning Alvis cannot and will not go below 1 HP. This is a unique variant only found on the 3 guest characters, Alvis, Dixon, and Mumkar. Normally, players can only get unbeatable to a 50% proc rate, so this is pretty crazy. Knowing this, Alvis is going to be the tank in this fight. Alvis also has Lost Ray and Cross Ray, 2 extremely powerful arts, so he'll be able to draw the aggro nicely. So the strategy in this fight is to let Alvis do all the aggro management on his own and poke auto attacks with Shulk in order to get Monado Purge available. Then, in the limited time we have, try and DPS the afflicted Telethia down. Sometimes Shulk will be targeted with a deadly vision attack. If that ever happens, just walk away. This isn't specific to this fight. If you don't know, any time an enemy triggers a vision, they enter a state where they do not move or attack until the vision comes true. So, if you have no way to deal with the vision, simply walking out of the attack range will cancel the vision and the enemy will start walking towards you. This gives you time to recharge arts, manage aggro, heal, or do just about anything you need to. So, using this technique, we can just run circles around the area until Alvis is able to take the enemy's attention. However, this is easier said than done. Even though Alvis is the arbiter of the universe with unparalleled power, he still can't, or just doesn't want to, hit the Telethia with Soul Read active. So, this battle becomes a war of attrition where Shulk slowly gets hits in and is able to charge his talent art. Luckily, this didn't take too many tries, and we were able to thin their numbers out and make the fight much more manageable. Oh, okay. Oh.
You see now, Shulk?
That could have been a problem.
Thank you.
With that done, we get Melia, and she's going right in the back. I love her, but God, is she not going to be helpful right now. No art books are available for her currently, and many of her best arts are just not unlocked yet. Also, we cannot take off her headpiece until we near the end of the Alchemoth section, so this is just gonna be here for a bit. We cut through the rest of the forest with relative ease and arrive in Frontier Village. This gives us access to Ricky, which is super nice. We now have another healer available to us, and he's actually able to deal damage. Our next objective is to defeat the Leone Telethia, which I was severely underleveled for, so I spent a good amount of time grinding on the Orluga and Hodes outside the Windmill Pavilion. Thankfully, I was ready by next stream and was able to beat it first try with good old Topple locking. There's not much for us to do in Aerith C, so we just charge ahead to Alchemoth. We're going to be losing Melia for a while, but that isn't a huge deal because I wasn't really using her that much at this point anyway. After a bunch of cutscenes, we have to make our way to the group of Cromar giving the Imperial Guards some problems. And you would be right to say, XenoBits, isn't this fight going to be really annoying since there's a bunch of enemies here? And the answer is no. These enemies are special. They do not respawn even when you die. My best guess is that these Cromar are considered quest enemies, and so when they die, they stay dead. It's definitely not as simple as that, because I feel like there are times that quest enemies do respawn mid-quest, but it's definitely something to do with that. So all we have to do here is slowly whittle them down one by one with 0 penalty for dying. Cool. Our next fight is going to be much harder though. Much harder. If you thought the Arachno were crazy, the Bionite Order encounter is even more ridiculous. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no, guys. That's bad. I also have to level down. I have to be level 34. This is insane! What? What do we do here? I mean, I did not think of this fight when I saw the stream title. I did not think of this fight either. This fight was not even on my radar. This was the first time during this entire challenge where I thought that this may not be possible. The gank squad are not only strong, but they can chain attack us. After a few attempts, I decided that some major grinding needed to happen. I'd sort of just been running from story section to story section and didn't really make much time to do anything else. We needed to unlock more skills, level up some arts, and do literally anything that could give us an edge in this battle. You all saw how that first attempt went. So, after a bit of side questing, I got back to the fight and made some key choices. Using Shulk is absolutely out of the question. All of his auto attacks bonk off the high Antia like a wiffle ball bat, so we only have Ryan, Dunban, Charla, and Ricky at our disposal. The final team that I landed on was Dunban in the lead with Ryan and Charla supporting. Ricky mostly does damage over time, and that really isn't something that we have right now. This fight needs to be over and fast. I put Serene Heart on Dunban to help him do what he does best, dodge tank. I also gave him Thunder so I could temporarily daze everything and get a few seconds to recover. Eventually, after a number of tries and some dumb luck, we were able to defeat the gank squad. It is actually happening. Oh my god. Alright, Charlotte's not in the chain attack, which is what we want. Let's go! Oh my god! We did it! Oh my gosh! Holy crap! That's crazy! Wow. Next up is this solo Melia section, which is definitely a little annoying. I started each fight by standing outside the aggro range and summoning elements. I waited for the cooldowns to complete so I could DPS the enemies down as quickly as possible. Then I used Hypnotize to put the enemies that I wasn't attacking to sleep. With the help of that and Element Burst, this section wasn't too much trouble. The next section, however, was another slog. The Orluga halfway through the dungeon wasn't a problem. I skillfully topple-locked him. No, the issue was Tyrea and the Solidum Telethia. Solidum? We're gonna go with Solidum. I tried this fight so many times. Especially after a pretty good first run, I knew it was possible. I just could never get into a comfortable position though. I was always on the verge of death in this fight. I initially tried Charla, Ryan, and a Shulk lead, even though he can't damage Tyrea. My logic was that I needed Monado Purge to handle the Telethia first, which was a completely reasonable line of thinking. However, this Telethia doesn't use Soul Read at the rate of the others. Sometimes it just never used it at all. I don't know why, but I'm not complaining. Eventually, after not seeing any further success, I swapped to playing Ryan and having Shulk and Charla in the back. I thought that maybe this would help me better manage aggro since I felt like Tyrea just kept killing my party members. While this was helpful, it still wasn't what I was looking for. The team that I finally landed on was the same one that allowed me to beat the gank squad. Dunban, Ryan, and Charla. Rather than targeting the Telethia first like I was at the beginning, I decided that Tyrea had been the main threat. She's able to drain your talent gauge as well as having some pretty nasty damaging attacks. Conveniently, she has significantly less HP than the Telethia too. What isn't convenient is this Telethia's ability to force a lock-on temporarily. Whenever this happened, I just needed to remind myself to stay the course and switch focus back to Tyrea when the effect wore off. Using Dunban's agility, Ryan's damage, and Charla's healing, we were able to defeat Tyrea, and slowly but surely, we finished off the Telethia. Oh my gosh, is it happening? Is it happening? We did it. We did it, guys. We did it. We fucking did it. Holy shit. Oh my god. The Skyrite is up next, and it really wasn't anything special. I even beat it underleveled. It's just a glorified overworld enemy, so that's not too surprising. Metal Face also wasn't an issue either. The classic Shulk Ryan Dunban team comp made quick work of him. Hooray, we're done with Alchemoth. I haven't been a huge fan of that section on recent playthroughs, and I've never been a fan of Valak Mountain on any playthrough. Thankfully this time, I just walked in a straight line for 20 minutes. It's very different than all the other times I've played it. The unique monster guarding the lava rock could have been a problem, but a really lucky chain extension let me get off a ×4 Blossom Dance, which deleted half of its health. When fighting Mumkar, I yet again showed off how good at this game I am, and I topple-locked him. The rematch at Sword Valley went about the same way as well. Goodbye, and good riddance, Mumkar. At this point, I wanted to get some more quests done, so before heading into the fight in Galahad Fortress, I spent a few hours getting new skill trees and some affinity between my characters. Anyway, this fight looks like it's going to be tough, but after clearing out most of the smaller enemies on my first attempt, I realized that they don't respawn because they're quest-based, just like the Crowmar. We got knocked on our butts by Egil and land on the fallen arm without any issue. Now we have Fiora, and that opens up some more team possibilities. Before I get to any of that though, we have to get through the fights with our party broken up. This fight with Shulk by himself was actually kind of annoying, and I think I only won because of RNG. I didn't prepare for this fight either, because I had completely forgotten about it, so I'm glad that this wasn't a bigger problem. Now that we're at the Hidden Village, after finishing a bunch of quests, we have access to Monado armor. I may not be able to equip armor, but the Monado can certainly grant it to me temporarily. This art is pretty broken in normal gameplay because it mitigates not only physical damage, but ether damage, and it's no different here. I didn't get it immediately upon coming to the village, since the area affinity requirement is pretty steep, and there's a few quests I can do in Mechonis Field that'll help with that. Speaking of Mechonis Field, we're here now! I know a lot of people aren't a huge fan of this section of the game, but as someone who really likes the gameplay of Xenoblade 1, it's just really comfy for me to slowly make my way up through the Mechonis. And nothing here was really much of a challenge either, it was just a bunch of Mechon. The next few streams were just pretty chill. I did a lot of side quests, and I got Monado armor too. Anyway, we had to fight Gato next, and I employed a very interesting strategy for this fight. Alright, so do not fight him, do not engage the enemy, do not... We are going to sit here, and we are going to tell this game, no. You definitely were not supposed to do this fight like this. I have never done this before. I've never had the need to. So I'll heal Shulk once. So Shulk and Fiora are fine. We'll throw a heal over to Ryan. And that should be enough, I think. After finishing that up, we move on to the Central Factory and then Agnirtha. Again, just a bunch of Mechon. None of them were really a challenge at this point. We made it to the Gato rematch, and while I did die a couple of times here, it didn't really feel too hard. It was just a matter of playing better and just having better situational awareness. Next up is Egil, and I topple-locked Phase 1 and 2 like a pro. As you can see, I'm extremely good at this game. You know who else we topple-locked? The Apocrypha Generator. And now with Monado Cyclone, our topple strats are even more powerful. Unfortunately, we really can't do that to Egil again, since during the Mechonis core fight, he is immune to topple. So instead, we just beat his face in. It took a couple of tries and got a little dicey at points, but Shulk is the master of the Monado, so it was inevitable that we would win. I don't think the Fiora v Zanza fight is possible to lose, but if it is, I sure as hell came close. This was not looking good. Dixon Cerny Telethia is the next required enemy, and it was kind of annoying. but after just a couple of tries, it fell just like the rest. Continuing the trend, we fight off the next few Telethia battles just fine. Even though at this point in the game, most of my characters still have 0 defense, this sort of just felt like a regular playthrough. The only difference is that I died a lot faster. Well, I had to open my big mouth, didn't I? Lorithia proved to be quite a problem. The typical topple locking strat doesn't really work here because she summons adds, and they're going to kill us before we kill her. The arena is also pretty obnoxious too. You have to walk pretty far to even get to Lorithia. So I had to do a bit of mixing and matching with the party members, and it would seem that Shulk, Melia, and Ricky was the special sauce we needed. Together they made quick work of the Nebula, and Lorithia has piss-poor ether defense, so that means Ricky and Melia got to have a field day with her. At this point, they both have their best ether-based arts, so now we're really able to make use of them moving forward.
She's dead? She's dead? She's dead? She died? She's dead? She's dead? She died. I wasn't even looking at her health bar. She's dead? Guys, is she... How did I do that? I genuinely do not know how I did that. What the hell?
Okay, Prison Island, the final stretch. Almost all of the required encounters here are just regular enemies with big health pools. The Obarts and Demon Pavlovs didn't really pose a threat. Dragon King Alcar was a little scary though. He's got a very powerful AoE fire attack, so I really did not want him to do that. He's also got a nasty damage spike, so I had to keep Monado Purge up as much as possible. For some reason though, one of my purges glitched out after a vision activated, and it didn't apply at all. I have never seen this before, and I have not seen it since. Either way, we were able to beat him first try. Now you're probably thinking that we're gonna fight Dixon. Wrong. I decided to do the Melancholy Tyrea quest, because I wanted to. It wasn't very hard, blah blah blah, okay now we'll fight Dixon. With all my preparations made, I took the lift up past the point of no return. I decided to go with Shulk, Rhine, and Dunban for this fight. We needed to pour on the damage and keep him toppled as consistently as possible. Phase 1 was pretty easy. I didn't really anticipate a problem here. Phase 2, however, was another story. Dixon has a paralysis spike, which means that we're auto-attacking much less frequently, and that means less Monado armor and less Monado Cyclone. The amount of time he stays toppled is also much shorter than other enemies, and at half health he activates his Crazed status, which gives him haste, strength up, and immunity to topple and daze. Not to mention that he has an art that forces topple. After a number of tries, I got the God Run. Easily my longest chain attack of the playthrough.
Let's go, Ryan. Oh! Okay. I can't see what's happening. That's massive. Oh my god. Oh. Guys, I'm running out of arts. Oh, we did it! Backslash. Oh, that didn't kill him. Oh, we did it! We got him. Insane, guys.
Now in memory space, we get to fight the spirits of past bosses and get just a little bit more experience before the final fight. We've truly come all this way with no armor, no gems, no skill links, and not even out-leveling a boss. It's been a hard run, but our greatest challenge is right before us. One final enemy. Zanza. It was at this point that I realized that I was actually under-leveled for the final fight. Zanza is level 81, but I knew I could beat this game right now. I was in it to win it. So I plowed ahead and stepped into the Sentient Genesis. Who better to start us off against Zanza than the tried and true Shulk, Rind, and Dunban, loved by casuals and tryhards alike. Phase 1 starts off things hard and fast. Zanza summons his guardians, and we need to deal with them quickly or risk getting chain attacked. Zanza can be toppled, but not dazed. I was able to deal with one of the guardians in a chain attack. This chain attack went so crazy that I actually filled up my party gauge again before it was over. So I changed targeting to the other guardian and let another one rip. With Zanza all by himself, we were able to clear the rest of the phase no problem. Phase 2 was what I was most worried about. With a massive pool of 600,000 health, we have a lot of work to do. I changed my setup to Melia, Ricky, and Shulk for this. I wanted to play this fight slow and steady. Instead of using chain attacks this time, my strategy was to stay near Shulk and make sure that he used the correct Monado arts exactly when I needed him to. Instructing him to use shield, speed, and armor at the right times was key in this fight. Zanza in this phase also gets the Crazed Aura, and he can summon the Guardians once he starts getting low on health. The ones that show up in this phase, though, are far more aggressive than the other ones. This is what killed many of my attempts. Zanza's gank squad would show up and ruin everything. On one really good attempt, though, I was able to Starlight kick Zanza the moment before he could summon them, canceling the art, and it was as good as over for him. With the true Monado in hand, I took control over Shulk again for Phase 3. The strategy was more of the same, but this time I had a weapon with a 75% crit rate. It was a long and strenuous fight, but slowly his health was dropping, and at the very end it almost looked like I was going to lose. But then...
No! Let's go! Oh my god! We did it! We did it! We beat the game! Holy crap. No gems, no armor, no skill links, and no out-leveling any bosses. We were either the same level or under the level of all the bosses. And pseudo-required enemies. Today we used our power to fell a gank squad. We did! They literally were the gank squad. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I haven't been this excited to beat this game since the first time I beat it. Obviously, I'm always excited to play this game. I love this game so much. But this was exhilarating.
I want to thank everyone that tuned in for these streams. It was an absolute blast to play my favorite game in such a unique way and share it with all of you. This is an experience that I definitely won't be forgetting, and I want to thank all of you for watching all the way to the end. I really appreciate it. Let me know down in the comments if you want to try something like this. And if you did, tell me how it went. I'd love to hear your stories. If you all enjoyed this video, please be sure to like it. If I get enough positive feedback, I will definitely do a Xenoblade 2 challenge run. I just have to decide what exactly that would look like. And finally, I want to say a special thanks to my channel members, and a super special thanks to Play and Polygloom, my legendary Blade members. Alright guys, thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!